Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. I have no idea how my cam has moved because it hasn't been moved since last week, but there we go. I blame evil spirits or possibly a cat. Welcome, Telling Tales, Symbaroum. Good times. Like a professional streamer, I wrapped up my pre-stream duties and jobs approximately 3 seconds before I arrived on camera. So, it's going to be the usual, just complete lack of preparation for me. So there we go. But that's what everyone loves, right? Yep, definitely. So before we start bringing on the crew and talking recaps, let's do the usual bit of blurb and promo. Down below at this stream, you will find a number of links to YouTube and Twitch. You're watching this on one of those websites. Please do check out the other if you want the complete Telling Tales experience. There's also links through to Discord and Patreon and our social media. Please have a look at those if those are the kind of things that interest you. We run 2 weekly series currently. Symbaroum is, of course, on Wednesdays. That's what you're watching. And Vason takes place on Mondays. It's a lovely little RPG from Fria Ligan, kind of. I kind of refer to it as Victorian Hellboy. It's sort of folk horror investigatory things with Johnny running it, our king of folk horror here at Telling Tales. So check that out. It's pretty good. We also run one-shots once a month. The next one is happening in a week and a half. Yes. On Saturday, December the 17th, we'll be playing the 3rd installment in our Alien trilogy. Is it better than the actual Alien trilogy? I'm not here to make that judgment. You'll have to say that yourself. We'll let the people of the future decide that. But either way, join us for it. If you want to watch the previous 2, A Place of Burning and A Congress of Sorrows, they're available on our YouTube. Every month we just play different systems, have fun with one-shots, and they're all on YouTube if you want to check them out. I think that's all our promo done. I'm going to start introducing our players now and talking about what happened last week. And in the meantime, I'm also going to be adjusting my camera. I really don't know. It looks completely different from how I usually look. As in mildly zoomed out, even though it's the same distance from me. It's very strange. So there we go. Maybe, is it better? Do people think it's better? You can see more rubbish now. That can't be better. There we go. Suggestions, resolution higher than normal. No, all the same. Literally exactly. I haven't moved it even slightly since last week. So there we go. Enough of my cam nonsense. Let's bring on Sam. Sam plays Ascarai, a resident changeling scout and ranger. Hi, Sam. How's it going? How's your cam?
Still desaturated, but otherwise fine.
Good.
I did try and mess with that,
but same place it always is.
Yeah, still more or less the same place. I don't think it's changed. I don't think all cameras of the world have rebelled, just yours.
Well, you never know. All right, how did we pick up last week, Sam?
So we just found a body, and we were of Mankel, and we were trying to figure out what to do. We decided we were concerned about Brother Bartha, who was sort of the next lead on our list, and since the previous 2 leads had died, we thought he might be in danger. Maybe we should go and see him. Maybe we should go back to Karvosti. In the end, we decided to go back to Karvosti for the night at the very least. We had to find something to do with the body, so we just kind of, I think we put it in a tree or hid it. I think we put it in a tree. We certainly hid it closer to Karvosti than where we found it, but we didn't take it to Karvosti with us.
There was definitely no putting it in a tree. Okay. I definitely would have remembered that.
Maybe not.
Someone would have inevitably made the obvious, if you're into weird, creepy things, reference of putting him in a witch elm. But no, I think John says we leaned it up against a bush or something. That sounds more like it.
That's halfway to putting it in a tree. It's a matter of scale only.
I think you just rolled it into some underbrush.
Yeah.
Kind of went, jobs are good. And
with the plan to tell people that we'd left it there, thinking taking a body into Kavosti might get us some funny looks.
Either way, it was a good plan and it worked out well, as we'll find out later. So carry on anyway.
In reality, where we left the body is of no consequence. But so we went back up to Kavosti to spend the night. I think we decided to go at some point to the Sun Temple there, and partly to tell them we'd left the body, so maybe go and pick that up, and partly to discuss about this hammer that had been left by Almendra with Pyramai, according to Crueljaw, in exchange for helping Almendra. Antom used his fantastic contacts within the Sun Church to find his good friend and very important character, Beramo. I
feel Beramo just slowly becoming a Telling Tales meme in the way they do, where something happens and everyone laughs about it. And then over the course of the next few weeks, it's like tendrils, like mold or fungus growing into my brain and just tugging on the wet parts. Like, anyway, carry on.
That's just what Beramo does. That's how Beramo works. So we spoke to Beramo. Beramo spoke to Aranitra, and Aranitra went and got Pyramai. Pyramai turned out to be not very helpful, I think, to put it lightly. He was not a fan of the fact that we had helped the Wrathguard against these Ambrian mercenary / outdated soldiers, and kind of basically his point was it's none of our business and didn't really tell us anything. And so we left. And I think at some point as well, we went to the Longhouse to discuss what we were going to do. And
absolutely. Yeah. And that's the territory of your next party mate. Exactly. And it's Chris. Chris plays Steo, our resident former infantryman and town guard, and grumpy old man with a flashy spear. Chris, discussing of things at the Longhouse. I mean, this section of your recap that I've given you could be called Steo desperately tries to get out of the main plot, but
I just wanted to raise the fact that we don't have any personal connections to this other than one slightly upset one slightly upset ogre who is a good drinking buddy to some of us, but is not like risk our lives in Davokar situation. But we kind of, and in fairness, Steo's entire purpose here is to go and finally complete the exploration of Karvosti by going to the magical mystical Feywood, which we haven't done yet. So basically, I'm still desperately trying to pull the party towards that quick explanation, that quick exploration job. But most of what we were doing in the pub were basically setting the pieces on the board and trying to understand what was going on, and kind of coming to the conclusion that while we don't have any stake in this particular thing, that we're still going to see it through, and also that basically everyone's a little bit suspicious. And it's kind of not really 100% on top of it.
So nothing's changed there in Symbaroum, really.
Yeah.
More of the same there. And then it was a trip to find the one remaining contact of Almendra that hasn't been killed in some way. And to talk about that, let's bring on John. John plays Sir Arindar, last surviving member of House Dar, duelist, cat fancier, and
stop phrasing it like that.
The nice guy of the party. Hey, if it's you getting weird ideas about these things, I can't be blamed for it. Go ahead.
So the night before, we'd had a little bit of a discussion about whether to follow up on our lead before he meets a definite unfortunate end, or whether to go to the pub. And it sounded like the pub side won, mostly because we didn't think it would be smart to go traveling through Davokar. even just for a few hours in the middle of the night. So Aaron had found a messenger from the camp at the bottom of Karvosti to send a message on ahead. And as we left Karvosti, first of all, we noticed that Menkel's body had apparently already been dealt with by the church, I'm sure, and that's completely fine. And by the time we got to the Viara compound, we found the messenger that we'd sent on ahead sitting outside in the freezing cold, having not been admitted because he was definitely a bit weird. Luckily, we weren't weird enough to be denied entry, and the guards let us through, telling us that they hadn't seen Brother Bartho for a while, but that he maybe possibly found in vicinity of the cook, and told us to do that.
Absolutely. And to tell the fascinating, adventurous tale of finding the cook, let's bring on Mike. Mike plays Anton, resident man of God, Theurg, sometime healer, and proud owner of one more point in Resolute since last week. So, well, not as of last week. So, what could possibly go wrong
difference?
Now? It did not.
We went into the inn, it's the Viara stronghold, sort of looking for the cook. We were directed to her chambers by a barman. Her chambers were upstairs in the inn. Her name was Aurelia, something like that.
Irella, I think, yeah.
Hello, thank you. She was a little bit reluctant to talk to us initially, and was indicating that Brother Bartho had left the Viara outpost, been gone for a while. But when it became clear that we were just there to talk and not to harm him, she sort of relented and let us into her room, and Brother Bartho appeared out of a chest in her chambers. We talked to him briefly. He told us, sort of answered a few questions that we had, a bit skeptical of who we were. He did mention that he knew Elmendra. He'd been out with her on an expedition. He kind of mentioned that, like, she'd maybe found something and made reference to like a lost city but I think he said like a lost city of gold. So like kind of talking about it in like more
metaphorical terms.
Yeah. But did mention that like he knew that Amagor had been killed, and he knew that because he was the first person to find Amagor dead. Didn't know that Mankel had died, but wasn't cut up about that. And at that moment, we were interrupted by something. And
absolutely,
he just before we come on to what the institution was, he did say, "I will answer the questions that you've got if you keep me and Aurelia safe."
Yeah, I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I think he went kind of one more than that and basically said, "Get me and Aurelia back to Karvosti."
Correct.
Safe.
Yeah.
And he will tell you more. So our final bit of recap and our final party member, let's bring on Stephen. Stephen plays Alindra, former Templar novice turned cutter up of people with a big sword.
That's to use the technical term.
Yeah, I mean, not the, that's what Templars do too, I suppose. But you pray less while you're doing it. So
I mean, on the inside, So we were the little sort of encampment was under attack by something, and we figured that we were responsible for the safety of at least two of the people in the pub, and that probably meant just defending the pub in general. So we kind of ran downstairs, saw Aurelia and the landlord kind of cowering behind the bar. Aurelia ran back upstairs into the room with Bartho, and I assumed the landlord. Well, we didn't care so much, to be honest. So we fanned out of the doorways of the pub and saw that we were under attack by barbarians. There was a big one, a sort of captain, and a bunch of little ones that were normal barbarian sized. And they didn't seem to be going for us specifically, but I think we kind of got enough attention that some of them came to attack us. The big one in a single blow dealt Elindra really quite a lot of damage. And the rest of us kind of sort of spread out and dealt with a handful of them each. And that seemed to be going okay up until we saw that the gates that had been barred shut to the enclosure were kind of splintering open under the force of something very large from the outside. I think that's where we left it.
Sure. Well, I believe the gates had actually exploded open by some kind of booming detonation, and through it came capering some more clan warriors. A woman dressed as a clan witch, sort of capering around and throwing odd bundles of matter around, and also a lindworm came crashing through the gate.
That was what it was, yeah.
A lindworm being a large kind of dragon-like serpentine monster from deep within Davakar. Some of you have met at least one lindworm briefly, as it broke free from some kind of weird dimension near the city of Castor. But this is your first time facing one in the flesh. I'm sure it will be perfectly happy that Askarai's cloak is made from its mate's skin.
It'll be fine.
It will be fine.
Especially fine considering we've been specifically warned not to let what's about to happen.
Yeah.
I think Askarai does know that lindworms are going to hate him. Is that...
If you know, then I'm sure Askarai knows, because I wouldn't have told you unless you'd had it, unless you kind of had it figured out.
It's a reasonable assumption to work from.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not at all into it when I see a party of adventurers wearing my friend's skin.
True.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna get that guy. So
yeah. And there is another thing to mention, which is a long-running rules error that we've made, or quite long-running.
Yeah. So I had quite a good turn during the combat, which I went back and watched the video and reckoned that through some good dice rolls and, as it turns out, accidental cheating, Elindra doled out 56 damage in one round. Because she engaged with a guy, which got a free attack, and then attacked the guy, and then was charged by another couple of guys, and got the free attacks on engagement, and then the normal attacks, so like 6 attacks.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was that Elindra's got a skill called Two-Handed Finesse, which makes her double-handed sword count as a long weapon, which is a bit like Steo's spear. You get a free attack on engagement. The bit that I missed is that you get a free attack on engagement once per turn, essentially.
Yeah.
Not any time it happens. To do any time it happens, you need to have Polar Mastery, which is another skill at adept level that I hadn't bought. So I'm now spending my XP to work towards that, to try and sort of rectify it in future.
And it's just, now that we've realized it, it's just a good thing for you to have as well. So
yes, yeah. So like even at the novice level, which I need to kind of save up for to get to the adept level to be able to do what I did last session, but without breaking the rules, does increase the damage of the sword from D12 to D12 plus 1.
Yeah, which is
so that's
isn't too shabby.
That's XP well spent anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was quite a complicated process of figuring all of that out.
Yeah, as someone who's for a long time run, a board gaming channel and then a TTRPG channel, I'm genuinely shocked that no one has pointed it out yet in comments. Because that's what, if you run those channels, that's what the comments on YouTube are for, to say, you got that wrong. But
long time
with
viewers.
love, I say that with love.
You've let yourselves down, viewers.
Disappointed in all of you.
I like to think they were just too nice to point it out. Be like, oh, they're all having fun.
Oh, definitely not.
That's not how the internet works, John.
So there we go, and let's crack on. Can we have the initiative back up, please, John? And let me describe the scene for you. As you've said, you're all standing outside the tavern of the Viara outpost. The tavern being called the something Falcon, something Hawk. Yes, I know this, obviously.
Something Falcon.
Victorious Hawk. There we go. You're standing outside the Victorious Hawk. Most of the clan warriors who've attacked you are dead on the ground. There are only two that remain. One mortally wounded, still facing Elindra, and one who is quite badly but not mortally wounded, facing Aaron. I believe Askarai is completely unengaged. I think Chris is completely unengaged. Or Steo was completely unengaged because I think he just killed his previous attacker. And brother Anton is near Aaron, having just basically blindsided and crushed the skull of one of the clan warriors attacking Aaron. Yeah, but now you've got something else to deal with. There are all the clan warriors that have rushed through the gate are being engaged by the other Viara guards. But there is a matter of a vast lindworm coloured a sort of yellowish, greenish, bluish colour that almost seems to shift and flicker between the scales as it writhes around the centre of the outpost. As you watch, it takes one of the defenders in its jaws and snaps the man nearly in half, as I think I described at the very end of the session last time. The witch is kind of capering around and flinging something through the air that seems to impact on one of the other defenders with a sort of odd sizzle and flash of light, as if lightning has burst over that individual's form, and they crash to the ground, shaking and shuddering. Let's put the lindworm and the witch in the initiative order, please, John. And I'll give you their stats now. So the witch is at quick 10 and vigilant 7. And the lindworm is at a nice, easy, quick 10, vigilant 10. So while we decide where that goes into the order, Askarai, we can always rely on you. No one is running up to directly engage you. So what are you going to do, friend?
Okay, so Aaron has one that's fighting him. Who else has a clan warrior fighting them?
Elindra, okay. Who is admittedly, while the clan warriors are much less of a threat than the guard warrior was, Elindra is still grievously wounded.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to shoot at the one that's fighting Elindra, and I think I'm going to take 2 shots rather than the armor-piercing shot.
Figuring that you can shoot something else if,
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, then. So that is a shot at one of the clan warriors at a -3.
Okay, I need a 12, and I rolled a 17, so I miss on my... Well, I guess I get 2... I guess I can choose this guy as my guy that I get multiple shots with.
Yeah, I think we determined that it's a free action for you to switch targets, right? So
I think it's a free action to choose, and then the one that I've chosen, once it dies, I can choose again. And I think the last one I chose was probably the big...
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Guy. Okay, so I'll try again, and I rolled a 20. What does the 20 do?
I don't think it does anything if you're not actually engaged with the individual, because they can't get an attack on you. So
it's certainly a miss.
Fumbled hit. Yeah, you can't take a free attack from them. So, although you know what, I'm feeling rambunctious. I'm going to say you take a free attack from the witch.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
How about that?
Well, it's not cool at all, but okay, that's nice.
It's terrible. Okay, and you know what? Roll me a d4.
Okay. I roll a 4.
4. Okay. And then can you give me, please, a defense roll at -1?
A defense roll, -4. Okay, so that's
Mhm.
2d4. I roll a 2. -1 is 1.
Ooh. Okay then. Well, this is a lovely chain of things, isn't it?
Uh-oh.
So if you rolled a perfect defense, you get a free attack on your assailant. And you know, I threw the witch in there when technically she wasn't the target, so I can't complain.
Oh wait, I
If-
rolled the wrong thing. I was meant to roll
Oh.
defense. I rolled an armor.
Yeah.
I rolled an armor. Okay, let me roll.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
then.
Let me roll a defense. I rolled a 13, which I think is a pass. Yeah, it's a pass, but nothing special.
Sure. What is your defense?
I think it's 15 because now I have a
Okay.
fancy robe that doesn't give me any
Okay.
negative stuff.
15 defense is super good.
That's
Okay then.
ridiculous. I'm in the most expensive armor on the planet, and my defense is 10.
It's because it's based on my vigilance.
Defense is worse in heavier armor.
Yeah, but your armor's a lot better.
Yeah.
I think isn't it negated if you have man at arms though, which Steo
Yeah.
does.
Yeah,
That's true, but
ridiculous.
but the
Yeah.
level of the armor has nothing to do with defense. Like it's your quick that is the base stat for defense. So
Yeah.
Ascaraz is presumably good and then is being boosted by other things.
It's
So you're on
his
mute.
vigilance, I think.
Yeah, my thing that lets me use vigilance for attack, but also lets me use vigilance for defense.
And your
then-
vigilance is 15. So
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, then. In that case, the witch, who's kind of like dancing around slightly on the other side of the fray from where you are, releases something from her hand and it bursts open on the timber and stone of the victorious hawk just by you. And leaves a patch of foul-smelling, brownish-greenish fluid that starts to hiss and smoke.
Okay, that's great. Is takes a step back, but I will try another shot at the person on Alindra,
Sure.
and I rolled an 8, so that does hit.
Mm-hmm.
And the damage is a D10 plus 1, which is a 5.
Okay, well that is enough. You transfix that clan warrior with your arrow through just kind of the center of their chest, and they stumble back and crash to the ground in that sort of swelling patch of turbulent mud that I described as the center of this outpost is kicked up by the feet of all the people involved in the melee. Alindra, it is your turn, and you are free.
Fantastic. Okay, so of the enemies, who am I closest to? And I guess also spatially, who am I stood next to amongst the allies? Like,
you are with quite close proximity to everyone in your group, really. Aaron is probably the furthest away from you, and Aaron is also the only one fighting a clan warrior. Within charge range is the kind of coiling lindworm, and probably 2 movements away beyond that is the clan witch. Once you move towards the lindworm, you are kind of involved in that general melee, which might have more interesting things happening. But yeah, that's kind of the layout.
okay. Essentially, what I'm trying to weigh up is that I appear to be carrying a few doses of Water of the Dusk, and whether I want to just like pour one down me as I charge headlong into other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if a lindworm hits me, I'm just dead, aren't I? So
I think there's a strong chance of that, even if you don't take it. So yeah.
yeah. Well, and if I'm dead, I won't need it. So yes, I'm gonna drink a Water of the Dusk whilst charging towards the lindworm and presumably get my 1 free attack per turn on engagement with the Lindworm. Does that
Yeah,
work?
because it's 1 movement action to use an item and 1 movement action to move over it and engage. But because you're engaging, you'll get your free attack. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that, hang on. I mean, if using the item is a movement action, which I think you're right, then that means that I can't do that and run, right?
Yeah, because you can use your combat action as a movement action if needed.
Okay. Then I will do that.
If you do that, you knock it back with your movement action. With your combat action, you move, and because you're engaging,
charge and engage.
You get a free attack.
If you are happy for all of those things to happen in one turn,
absolutely happy for you to do those things.
Remind me what Water of the Dusk actually does.
It reduces your corruption by 1, your permanent corruption, and it gives you 1d10 healing.
1d10.
On which last week you rolled 1 and then re-rolled it for 2.
I rolled a 3 this time, and I'm going to XP spend that one again.
Hey, you've got in 7 more of these, and you'll be sitting pretty.
Right, let's try again. I'm going to roll worse than I rolled a 1. Yeah.
Just a colander for Water of the Dusk.
It's just
Elindra might have an allergy to Water of the Dusk.
Elindra wasn't around when we found it, so it just thinks it's like water. Like, I just drink.
Oh, these guys have really good water.
Yeah.
It's just healthy spring water. It's all the vitamins that give you.
Can I spend another XP on that on the grounds that it can't get worse than a 1?
I think I think it is actually a rule, but also if it's not, it's definitely a house rule that you don't spend more than 1 XP.
It's a one-time thing. Okay,
yeah,
that was the worst XP I've ever spent, and in quite a crowded field. Yeah, right. Cool. I heal my 1 toughness, and
absolutely. I think at this point, it's entirely possible that Elindra, because you're not feeling that kind of warmth, the warmth of Prios moving through you when you take the Water of the Dusk now, it's entirely possible this might be feeding some kind of narrative in your head that with the voice speaking to you from the sword, perhaps Prios's eyes are averted even further from your person than they were before.
Oh.
Who knows? Either way, you're chopping at a Lindworm, right?
Yeah.
Like free attack.
Trying to help or in some kind of suicidal rage.
Sure. So the defense of the Lindworm is +4. So you got a pretty goddamn good chance of hitting it.
Yep. I very much hope so. Yes, that's a hit.
And then give me that damage roll, please. So you don't have your Revenant Strike activated. So that's just
I do not know. So that's 8 in total.
8 in total. Well, then you'll be delighted to know that roaring, you slam home into the side of the Lindworm with your blade, which rebounds off the seemingly diamond hard scales of its hide. In point of fact, Elindra, you're not sure it registered the strike.
Right.
So there we go. Who's next? Clan Warriors. Arindar, can you roll defense for me, please?
Yes.
Against a... Where is the thing? Yeah, with defense with a -5.
Okay. But he's also surrounded. Is that taking that into account?
Oh, yeah, he's flanked, right? Because he's flanked by Catboy.
Catboy and Antom, I think.
No, Antom engaged one of them. Antom did not.
In that case, Catboy.
So, yeah. So you get a plus. So it's no, yeah, but that doesn't matter, right? Flanking doesn't affect his attacks. Just your attacks on him.
Yes, I may be.
I assure you, it's true.
I may be confusing the rules with a computer game that I've been playing.
Sure.
So never mind.
-5.
Ouch. Oh, it's a pass.
Okay. Well, in that case, you get a free attack, right?
Yes.
And their defense, I believe, is it's a -3.
-3, so a 13 to hit. A 13 exactly. So a d12 and a d4 for the surrounding is... Oh my god. 4, because I only rolled a 1 on my d12.
Okay. Going well. But you still managed to kind of slash a trace of a scar across the clan warrior's face, who kind of grunts and staggers backwards, blinking desperately to avoid getting blood splattered into his eyes. And it's your turn.
Great. Let's try another one of those hits. Try and put this guy down. That is most definitely a hit and 8 damage.
And that is more than enough. You work around the man's guard as he's still blinking from that blood splattering into his eyes, run him through and leave him groaning and not long for Davakar on in the mud at your feet. So the clan warriors are done for. Now the only barbarian warriors who are fighting are currently engaged with all the other guards. You can go fight them if you want, and I'll just create them. But for the purposes of our combat, unless you're going to fight them, they are just engaging with those guards. So there we go. Lindworm time. And the Lindworm is going to writhe across the mud on this small battlefield, rear up into the air over the outpost, up to the height of the victorious hawk itself. And as it does so, the length of its body starts to coil and wrap around itself, and its scales glimmer in the soft light of the winter's day. Flashes of yellow and green and blue that are at first just like a distraction, but then become oddly blurred and shifting, and perhaps even a little bit alluring and soothing. And I would like everyone, please, to roll Resolute at -5.
Got 1.
Nice. You're too close for it to work.
You can
I
see
got
the
a
pixels.
19.
Okay. Who else passed? Put your hands up if you passed. Anton passed.
Also a 1.
Nice.
So here's the thing. I failed, but I have a feeling steadfast procs here, which means I get a second chance to reroll Resolute.
Could you read the blurb to me? I think it does, but could you read the blurb?
I can make a second. I have this at adept level, and it allows me to make a second attempt on strong or resolute checks to escape from ongoing physical or supernatural impediments.
I agree.
I did it!
Yay! Oh, you've got quite a good Resolute.
Yes, my Resolute is 10.
So then you fail because it was at -5.
Oh no! Oh, okay, never mind.
Still, you did better.
Not well spent.
This is a roller coaster.
Yeah,
I'm banking that cheer into the fact I remembered that I had the skill.
Absolutely. So you don't have to go through all the exhaustion and horror of cheering later. Ascarai, did you fail there?
I failed. Badly failed.
You failed. Okay, there we go. So, and I think everyone will, Elindra probably doesn't see this, but Anton, you see Arin, Ascarai, and Steo go still near you and just start staring, gaping, open-mouthed at the writhing and contorting Lindworm. You also notice quite a number of the Viara outpost guards doing the same thing.
Great stuff.
Some are still fighting, including a couple still kind of wailing away at the Lindworm. Elindra is doing the same thing, but it certainly hasn't improved the chances of the outpost defenders. And a majority of your companions seem to be somewhat struck. Yeah, it is the clan witch's round, I suppose. And the clan witch. Oh, I think she's just going to attack one of you randomly. I don't see there's any reason not to do that. But I'm going to say she's going to attack one of the people who are enthralled. Because why not? So let's have a wee roll, and that is going to be Steo. So Steo, could you roll a d4 for me, please?
I can. I just want to point out that you interrupted me from singing the Shiny Disco Worm song.
Okay.
I rolled a 3.
A 3. Okay. I think if you're enthralled, do you even get a defense roll?
No,
so.
Because defense is dodging, but I'd certainly get an armor roll if one is applicable.
Yeah, okay. I think because I was thinking of maybe it's like a defense roll, but you get like the same malice as you would if you were flanked or prone.
That would work as well, I suppose.
I think that works. Yeah, because she could still miss, right? Her aim isn't infallible because you're stood still.
I'm standing still, enjoying the Shiny Disco Worm.
Might be different if she was stood next to you with a knife, but yeah. So why don't you roll defense for me, please? And what malice is on prone? It's minus. It's the same as flanking, right? So it's a 2.
Yeah.
So give me a defense roll at -3, please.
Okay, that is nowhere near enough.
Okay, in that case, yeah. So what's her thing? It's master. Armor roll, please.
Okay, wish me luck. 3. That's not luck. That's a number.
It's indeed. Steo, you barely register something impacting into the front of your armor, into the breastplate, and sort of vaguely reel back, like when you're asleep and there's a loud noise that wakes you up, but you're not sure what that loud noise was. That's how you feel, and you're coughing a bit, and your face feels like you've been in the sun for too long. Anton, you saw the witch throw some kind of compacted ball of something at Steo, and the front of his breastplate exploded. There's like a blackened impact in the front of it now. It's perfectly serviceable, but he's kind of there with like a slightly blackened and reddened face, kind of blinking and reeling backwards. Plus side to that, Steo, you take 1 toughness because you rolled pretty damn well, and see that's those are weird and not terribly effective, and also you're out of the enthrallment. But while I'm doing this, can someone who is enthralled and probably isn't about to be unenthralled, so John say, can you look up if there's any specific rule for explosive damage in Symbaroum?
Yeah.
Like if it affects multiple people, or if it like pierces armor or something like that, because it just seems quite a weak thing.
Yeah.
To only do 4 damage. But take a look for me if you could. Okay. But with that in mind, I think we're on Antom's turn now. So the enthrallment at least made you miss your turn, Steo, but...
Okay. I would like to try and roll my Blessed Shield. I've tried to do this in the last session, but failed.
Do it. Do it.
I really need some... And I've made it.
Awesome. There we go.
And
I believe you can apply that to you and one other person, right?
That's correct. I think I'm probably going to apply it to Elindra on the grounds that, she got minced in the last session and is also very close to a Lindworm right now.
Yeah, that seems a good choice. So let's go ahead with that.
Do I have a movement action now, or could I shout to say Aaron or Ascarai, like to
Try
try
and
and get their attention.
Snap them out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely can. Are you moving over to them, or are you just shouting from where you are?
I will shout
You're-
at whichever one I'm not running towards.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Aaron is very close to you. So do you want to shout at Ascarai and run towards?
Yeah, I think
Arendelle?
that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Absolutely. Anton, you incant your blessed shield and you feel the warmth of Prios around you. I think we've described it in the past as kind of sunspots, or I always forget the term of the thing I'm talking about, but you know, that kind of like mirage sun that you get like in far north and south places of like
It's like a sundog.
Sundog, that's it. Like sundog effects gleaming in the air around you, and also gleaming in the air around Elindra. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anton, that provides D6 armor while it's active?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and also like any abomination or undead who attack get some melee damage, but I suspect that's not going to apply for the Lindworm.
No, it's not an abomination.
It's not an abomination. Yeah.
It is just a monster. So, just a monster. Just a monster. It's fine. Okay, then. We are round to Ascarai. Ascarai, you can give me a resolute test at -5, please.
Okay, let me look. I think I need a 6. Yeah, I need a 6. And I roll a 2. So I make it.
You do. Via the rules, you would still have lost this turn. So you spend the turn sort of shaking your head and reeling and maybe kind of catching yourself on the wall, maybe slightly near to that melty bit that you then avoid. So you spend this turn shaking your head and finding your senses, but come next turn, you will be aware and able to act again.
Nice.
Elindra.
Right. Stood right next to a Lindworm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm committed to this course of action now. I think just going to try to stab it as best I can.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, it is as we said, it's defense is +4, so it's nice and easy to hit.
Mm-hmm. So that's a hit. And then the damage is a D12 +1, 9. So that's 1 better than last time.
1 better than last time. And you know what? This time, your blade leaves ever so slight trace. You see odd bluish green blood seeping from between 2 scales that you manage to slash across. So the thing isn't impervious, but it is very, very tough. You are again unsure as to whether it really noticed the slice of your blade as it writhes and coils and snaps out at the outpost guards surrounding it.
Okay. When you say I'm unsure whether it's noticed, do you mean am I reasonably sure that it hasn't noticed, or essentially
it's hard
I'm
to read it.
considering running away, but if it's noticed, it's going to get a free attack on me.
Oh, you're engaged. It'll get a free attack on you either way.
Oh, okay.
Mechanically, yeah.
It's
It's nothing to do with their awareness. It's just to do with like,
cool. Like I would have run away if Elindra felt that it was safe to do so without getting caught in the back, but otherwise she's going to keep facing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So this is interesting stuff from John about that explosive. Assuming it's an alchemical grenade or similar, it is indeed. Aim at one target and may also roll to hit anyone within melee range from the target. No one was in melee range of Steo, so that's fine. With a successful attack roll, those who hit suffer full damage plus damage from fire. What damage from fire?
It just says plus damage from fire as an ongoing effect.
Oh, is that for a specific thing called an alchemical grenade?
Yes.
Okay.
But I can't find anything about general explosives.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is meant to explode. It's not meant to set things on fire, so... Yeah. Those who hit suffer full damage plus damage from fire. Yeah, it's an interesting one, because the thing I'm looking at just does a d8, which means because an enemy is using it, it's 4 damage. But it just seems not too impactful. Yeah, but okay. We will run it as that. Yeah.
There's also, you may want to know, depending on what skills they're trained in, if they botch, it will explode in their hand.
They are a master alchemist.
That's fine then.
Yeah. So, Elindra, I believe, yeah, you're not using your movement action for anything. You're staying where you are, and
yeah. I mean, unless back away very slowly is an option.
I mean, they'll get a free attack.
Right. So
Lindworm
no,
will get a free
I'm
attack if you
staying
disengage,
put.
so,
Like,
yeah.
we're doing this.
That seems fair. So, Arindar, you get your resolute roll. At a -5, please.
Okay. Wish me luck. That's a no.
Okay. You are still lost in the shifting colors in front of you, which, the Lindworm isn't even particularly doing that odd serpentine dance anymore, but it is, as far as Arendar's concerned, just kind of slightly wobbling on your feet. Maybe a small drop of drool collecting in one corner of your gaping mouth as you gaze forward, hypnotized. And it's the Lindworm's turn. How fortunate. So, I said that moving towards the Lindworm brings you into the melee. Ergo, for a start, I think maybe the Lindworm, maybe it would be flanked. John, could you quickly look up how many opponents need to be on a big enemy to flank it? Because I think there is one number for human enemies and one number for larger than human enemies. Or it's possible there's no number for larger than human enemies, but if you have a look.
I'll try.
I think it's just in the normal flanking section. Either way, I said that there were multiple other people fighting the Lindworm. Ergo, it has multiple enemies. So, I am going to roll a die. And I said at least a couple of outpost guards were fighting the Lindworm. So I'm going to say there's you and 2 outpost guards fighting the Lindworm. So I'm going to roll now to see whether it attacks you or them. In fact, no. You can roll. Because that's more fun.
Yay. What am I rolling?
Give me a d6 roll and don't get a 1 or a 2.
I'll try not to. That's a 5.
Okay, then. There we go. As you watch the Lindworm strikes out again and shrieking and thrashing, a Viara outpost guard is held aloft in its jaws before there is a crunching sound and 2 hands fall to the ground in front of you, Elindra. The rest of the body of the Viara guard slipping down its throat with a horrible, wet, crunching noise. The plain flanking section doesn't have anything for larger enemies. Okay.
I'm going to see if there's anything in the... Because there's like keywords that enemies have, right? I'm trying to find the section for those.
Please don't do that.
Okay, then I won't.
Also, they do and they don't. The keywords are mostly like reptile or undead or stuff like that. So I'm not sure it necessarily has stuff like that. A target is considered flanked if 2 enemies stand on opposite sides of it. Oh yeah, it doesn't particularly say like that it has to be human size, does it? But there we go. I mean, you could just do a Google of Symbaroum flanking large enemies or monsters or something like that, and it might give you the result.
Intuitively, it doesn't seem to make sense to be able to flank something the size of a building, but
Certainly not.
I found the same page that John found of the rulebook.
Yeah.
And like, Yeah, I mean, it looks flanked.
Certainly not with the same number of people, but yeah. Okay. Well, let's while people have a browse, let's go to our next individual, which is Steo, who is browsing. But
Hello, everybody.
hello.
Okay. So I don't get re-enchanted by this shiny disco ball.
Correct. It was an action that it took, and it stopped taking the action now.
Oh, God. What the hell is Alindra doing?
You can charge free attack if you want.
The giant monstrous thing that's nearly laid waste to an entire town. I'm going to hold back on that just for the meanwhile. Has the range to the witch changed any?
No, that would still be a double movement. But of course, because you have long, you would get a free attack. You suspect that some kind of fiendish games master, because it has to be through the melee, might roll some chance to see if you're intercepted by a clan warrior. Because you'd imagine they would try and defend the witch. But they might also not be able to.
If only we had some way to do damage against high value targets that are not directly in melee combat, some kind of means to project, like maybe via some kind of stake or bow, perhaps. I don't know, maybe one day, but for the moment, God,
That's a crazy dream.
If I engage the Lindworm, there is less chance that Alindra gets one shot. I would rather Steo die than Alindra die. Fuck it, let's go.
Okay. Steo charges forward. Any kind of particular battle cry?
This is the stupidest thing you have ever done!
Free attack on the Lindworm. And yeah, I guess according to the rules, it is flanked.
And according to the rules, there is no limit to the size of the creature I can push out of engagement.
Hold back from engagement range, yeah. Which would, of course, mean that you don't get an attack against it, like your non-free attack against it this turn.
Yeah, my non-free attack.
Unless you then choose to engage it. But
yeah. Okay, so here we go. Again, this is +4, isn't it?
It's +6 if we're accounting for it being flanked now.
I can roll anything except a 20. I rolled a 9.
Okay. And then your damage, remember, is going to be +D4 because it's flanked.
I don't think it's going to be enough, my friends. 10 on the big dice! 2 on the small dice. That's 13 damage in total.
That's... Oh, yeah, because you just get... Because of deep impact, right?
Yeah, deep impact on the speed.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Elindra, you hear like a sort of incoherent shouting from Steo and the familiar sound of his thudding plate armor clad feet moving into place beside you, and you see a full 2/3 of the length of his bronze spear slamming between scales and into the deep inside the Lindworm. You think you see a brief flash of the tip of it on the other side of the creature as he kind of withdraws it, and the Lindworm shrieks with an oddly human-like noise and coils kind of away from Steo. It's still kind of flush with you and the others fighting it, but it seems to be sort of like rearing back and giving Steo a bit of a wide berth as it does so. Steo, are you going to be satisfied that it's out of your engagement range and you get a free attack if it comes in, or are you going to now engage it, which means you won't get those free attacks, you won't get that deflection anymore?
Statistically, I really prefer my chances of keeping this thing at bay than I do at rolling another 10. So I'm going to basically sacrifice my second action, but to yell at Ascarai something incoherent involving the word witch and probably idiot.
Sure, absolutely. As far as Steo's concerned, Aaron and Ascarai are just stood there for no reason. Okay, it's the clan witch's turn. And I think, I think she'll still prefer to go for someone who. Nah, you know what? I'm just going to roll for the back line. I'm just going to keep Alindra and Steo out of it and roll to see who she flings something at now. And it is Askarai. So, can you give me a D4 roll, please, Askarai?
Okay. I rolled a 1.
And then can you give me a defense roll at, and I'm going to count you still as prone, as you know, a defense roll at -3, please.
Okay, I need a 12. I rolled a 5, so I make it.
You make it. Okay. You kind of feel another thing flying past you and impacting into the wall behind you and erupting in a kind of slow, languorous mist that drifts down the wall and kind of curls around your feet and gives off a very sort of offensively sweet and soporific scent that only kind of just reaches your nostrils, but you imagine if you had a face full of that, you might not be feeling too great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it missed, so there we go. Anton.
I'm in two minds about what to do here, and it's partly down to the way the Blessed Shield works, because in order to give Elindra the effect of it, I need to keep Elindra in sight. So can I just clarify, if I were to engage with like the witch, say, like, and were to like be in combat with the witch, like, would we need to be pedantic about like I need to position myself that Elindra is inside?
I don't think so. I think you would. I think it's fine in this particular circumstance. Okay. The only thing I would say is, do you have to roll every turn to maintain Blessed Shield?
No, it lasts until the scene ends, and it doesn't say anything in the rules about concentration. Right. That's
Holy Aura is the yeah. Oh, you don't even have to concentrate. So if you get hit, it doesn't. I mean, that makes sense for a shield, I guess. Awesome. No, you can try and engage with the witch.
I will go and get killed by a witch.
Okay. I said that I'd roll to see if like anyone is like intercepted by a clan warrior on the way over there, and I think an opposed quick roll with a clan warrior seems like a good. Okay. So that's a quick roll at -3, please, Anton.
My quick is 7. That was the reaction.
Okay, you can roll 4 or under.
That's fine. I didn't roll 4 or under.
I mean, you're not going to.
No, so that's fine.
Can Anton roll 4 or under?
It is technically possible to roll 4 or under, but can Mike roll 4 or under? Because technically possible is not.
I've never seen him do that on a D4.
Yeah. So you are interrupted by a clan warrior. You are now engaged with them, but you can go ahead and attack them if you want.
Yeah, I will do that. That is a miss, and that's an even number, which is the 2 of the worst possible outcomes. So
yeah, because it's your odd number that you get like a backswing hit on, right?
That clan witch has got away really lightly this round.
Yeah, it hasn't had the fury of the church rain down upon her via Anton. Yeah. While you dash kind of through the melee, you skid on what is either a particularly slick patch of mud or a particularly slick of something that used to be a person. And in front, you kind of crash into a clan warrior who wheels round, sort of ducks away from your sort of alarmed swing of your flail, and then starts circling you with a sort of a look on his face that makes you think that he thinks you're a particularly easy target. A soft southerner in a dress.
I love how we keep Anton at the end of the initiative, like the kind of the news story about the kitten that runs at the end just before the weather.
Anton is the public interest story. Yeah. Although you just to throw that back on you a bit, Chris. Did you notice that you failed your first roll of the session?
Yes, but like I haven't made a habit. Oh no, you've made a great point. Thank you. No,
is
no,
it-
it's sorry. It's the first roll of the day, not the session.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
super
That's all
round.
good. That's all good then. That's all good. That's all good. All right then. Public interest story aside, Ascarai, you are now awake and fine, and all the rest of it.
Okay, I'm being shouted at. Something to do with an idiot and a witch.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm probably being called an idiot, so I'm gonna shoot at the witch to try and regain Seer's respect, which is incredibly important to Ascarai. And I'm gonna take 2 shots, I think, rather than the last guy died as well, so I'm gonna try two attempts at 2 shots.
Absolutely. Well, the witch's defense is +2, so I mean, you're probably going to hit, right?
I rolled a 19, so that fails on the first attempt of the
God.
first shot, and a 1, so a good second attempt of the first shot.
Good second attempt. There we go. Okay, so roll for damage, please, and because it's a perfect hit, take a +d6 to the damage roll.
Okay, I rolled a 9 total.
9 in total. Okay, that is definitely over the witch's pain threshold. Would you like a free attack?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So again, I do hit on a 13, and my damage is an 8 total.
Yeah. Okay. So an arrow flashes across the outpost center as the witch is sort of skipping and dancing around the edge of the melee, laughing uncontrollably and tossing these odd alchemical concoctions out around her. The first arrow takes her in the guts, leaving her staggered back. With a shocked expression, she raises one hand as if to throw another one of these odd alchemical things. And the second arrow takes her in the throat. She stumbles back against a wall behind her and then crashes to the ground in the mud. Now, which of you is going to be... Arendar is still under, right? The others are fighting the Lindworm. Ascarai, give me a vigilant roll at a... I am going to go with... I'd say... I know, like a -2.
Okay, I need a 13. Vigilant is my best thing. I rolled a 3, so I make it.
Yeah, you've seen the fury and distress that clan warriors fight with when their witch dies before. A few of them glance over and look annoyed, maybe.
Okay, so my impression is something is not right with the relationship between the witch and these warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a second shot, which I'm gonna take the limb one, even though I know that that's probably not right.
You can roll over. I think we have found out that its armor is 8, right? You can roll over 8.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
And to hit it is a +4.
Okay, so I have a good chance of hitting it. I do hit it, and the damage is 7. Not quite.
The arrow splinters and kind of the parts of it ricochet off those scales as it coils around and sort of half faces Alindra and the other guard warriors fighting it, and half faces Steo.
Is the Lindworm still flanked?
Mm-hmm.
Does that not add? Did you add the D4 damage for that already?
Flanking doesn't count for ranged.
Okay, only melee. Right, got you.
Mm-hmm. In fact, if you think about it, range should get more difficult if something's flanked.
Yeah, that's true.
But there is no rule for firing into melee of one kind or another. I think it's kind of, I've used it at my discretion before if Ascarai like botches.
Yeah. If he rolls a 20, someone else is getting shot. But...
Yeah, I think so. But no, it doesn't count for this. But it's your turn now, and the flanking certainly counts for you.
Fantastic. I am going to try to hit it with my big sword.
That seems like a thing to do.
yeah.
So yeah, hit at a +6, please.
Yeah, that would be great if I hadn't rolled a 20, wouldn't it?
Ooh,
We're
that
having a
20
day.
will produce a free attack.
I mean, what do I want to spend?
It's up to you.
Yes, I do. I do want to spend an XP on re-rolling that attack. Yeah, I do. Okay.
Lindra burning through the XP last week and this week.
Well, yeah, I'm having a shocker. Right, so yes, that is a hit. So the damage is now D12 plus D4 plus 1. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
That's pretty good. Yeah, emboldened maybe by Steo's incredible charge into the flank of this creature, you step forward and with a great swipe of your longsword cleave an enormous chunk from the flank of the creature, kind of slicing across it, and a huge chunk of steaming meat kind of flops kind of over. You have to like skip back from it slightly to avoid being crushed, having your feet crushed under those scales. And blood from the lindworm is now gushing from its side all over them, mixing with that mud and producing, if possible, an even more offensive smell and sensation underfoot. I think this thing is very powerful and also has a very powerful sense of self-preservation. And I am going to make a roll here for who would like to make a roll for. Well, Stephen, you're the one who dealt the very serious blow to it.
Sure.
And it's taken 2 of them now. So why don't you give me just give me a die roll, and what you're looking for is anything over 13
on a D20.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that is not. That's a 5.
Spend
Nope.
XP.
This unfortunately that would be the lindworm spending XP. Unfortunately, yeah, the lindworm seems determined to battle, if not to the death, at least for a little bit longer here. So,
can I get a sense of just like having looked at it, take the injury from Steo, and from me, do I feel like another 1 or 2 of those might finish the fight, or is it going to suck up another 10 of these things, or like what's the ballpark for how hurt it looks?
I think, given that it's a hidden stat, and to get sort of information on it requires beast lore, right. I'm not going to answer
tell
that
me
if you haven't fought a lindworm before.
That's fair.
Yeah, I take it you're not using your movement action either way.
I think unless I've got a sense that it's about to keel over, I think Alindra actually is going to bottle it. And I think I am going to use my movement action to get away from melee combat with it.
Okay, you realise
free attack.
Take the free attack.
Yep, I got the blessed shield, and I'm going to take my chances because I think Alindra's not sure that she can stand here and kill it, and that's the only other way out of this combat.
Fair enough. Fair enough. In that case, so its attack is that. Can you give me a defense roll, please, at a -3?
Sure. That is an XP. That is now a pass, yeah.
Okay. It snaps out at you at first, and you feel kind of the oddly cool breath of it wash over you as the teeth slam down barely 2 feet from your face, but you manage to kind of ungracefully sort of scamper backwards and just wildly slash out with your long swords to fend it off from taking a bite out of you. You are now disengaged from the lindworm.
Cool.
Aaron Dar, give me a resolute roll at -5, please.
That is still not a pass.
Aaron Dar is still
And-
lost in the world of glittering scales.
I'm out of curiosity. I've also been rolling for Farron.
Sure.
Farron is also still staring at the pretty lights. It's in laser pointer mode. Yep.
Sure. Okay, we are back to the Lindworm. I am going to see. I think we determined that it was fighting one of the guard warrior, and that's it now. So it's not currently flanked. But I will, given how badly Steo hurt it, I am going to roll to see whether it attacks that warrior or it engages Steo. In fact, Steo, I think I asked. Why don't you roll and let me roll a d6.
I rolled a 5.
Okay, it is engaging you.
Okay.
Actually, no, it isn't engaging you because that's the higher.
You rolled
the
5
better.
last time
No.
and we didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So it is instead going to coil its length around another one of the guard warriors who she desperately shrieks and tries to kind of slam a dagger home between the scales. But those kind of coruscating coils of its length tighten up and she's hidden from view as an increasingly torturous shriek rings out nearby, and you hear several crunches and wrenching noises as an arm that's stuck out from between the coils stiffens and thrashes in agonized pain and then goes limp. So that's what you escaped. That's pretty good. Steo, it's your turn. I take it we're doing the old engage, unengage trick, or trying it.
I am going to. Steo is in a fey mood because this is not. The group is not behaving the way Steo particularly wants them to, and sometimes something in Steo snaps, and he remembers the way his drill sergeant treated him, and passes that trauma on to another generation. So Steo's going to start barking orders, actually, and he's going to shout. Elendra Ascarai, indoors, now! And I'm going to charge Arendar and manhandle him into the building, if I possibly can.
Okay, you are aware that Antom is stuck on the other side of this conflict fighting a clan warrior.
Oh, crud flaps.
I'm happy for you to retroactively do something with that.
Everything except the bit where I'll probably just shout at Aaron to get his attention and get him, but I'm going to try and get Antom unengaged by virtue of the spear.
Okay, so you're going to charge into the clan warrior fighting Antom, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Well, that is an attack on a flanked enemy, so that's going to be an attack at -5.
Okay. That's 10 or under. Oh, 13. Sorry, that was the engagement for the long weapon.
Oh no, sorry, not -5. It'll be an attack at. I'm an idiot. It's an attack at -1.
Okay, in which case that is a nice clean hit.
That's a hit, yeah. So damage, please.
This is an engagement, so that's oh my god, D10 is a 1 plus my D4 for flanking, which is a 2, so that's 4 damage in total. So I don't even think it gets through their armor.
It does get through their armor. You manage to lightly stab them in the thigh on the way in, and they kind of howl and spin their body to try and face both of you, but they are, of course, flanked. Did you remember to roll the extra D4 for flank?
I did. That's why we got more than 1 damage. So that was the engagement, obviously, and the long attack. So now I think I am going to commit to this combat and formally engage.
That's absolutely
that means
fine.
Second attack.
Yep, which is also going to be at a -1.
That's a fail.
Yeah.
Oh no! Wait. If it's a -1, that's correct because technically 15's my accurate.
Yeah, but you have precise
gives me +1.
Yeah,
and then the thing gives me D1. Okay.
Yeah. Damage them, please.
And I still get flanked for this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a bit better.
10 in total. Or
12 in total.
Okay. Yeah. As he kind of spins round to face, he sort of turns to face you once, and sort of flashes an axe in your direction, and then turns to face Anton again to kind of like push his shield out to hit him. And as he does that, in the momentary lapse of concentration on you, he's clearly underestimated your speed and your veterancy here. You jab out and gouge his throat open with the tip of your spear. He gurgles, splashes a great deal of it over Anton's robe as he tumbles down, sort of almost clutching at Anton to steady himself. He's definitely dead. Or if not, give it a few seconds.
The look I will give Anton will probably give him some level drain effect.
Sure. Either way, Clanwitch is dead, so can be removed from the turn order. Anton, what are you doing?
I guess I'm interpreting Steo's glare as get out of here. And given that we were tasked with saving those two people, it might be a good time for Anton to return to the inn and check on those two and see if they haven't been
okay. So you're
engaged
just
in the fight.
kind of double moving it back to the
Yeah.
Victorious Hawk.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll roll round to the beginning of the next turn. Ascarai, Steo yelled at you to get back in the tavern. Doesn't mean you have to do it. And anyway, you could fire from the windows, even if you wanted to, with after a movement action to get inside. Well, what are you doing?
I think, can I fire first and then move?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna fire an armor piercing at the Lindworm.
Lindworm. Well, that's a shot at a +4 then.
Okay, I need a 19 or less. Roll the 17, which hits. And the damage is 6.
Okay. You kind of, the Lindworm is definitely infuriated and kind of thrashing around the center of the outpost now, sending sort of Viara guards sprawling left and right, as well as clan warriors, it has to be said. It seems to be furiously kind of searching through the mass, probably for Steo, as he's sort of got its attention and then very much dashed off. And as it rears round, as Steo is kind of turning to kind of run back to the tavern, and it follows kind of Anton with its eyes as Anton kind of dashes across through the muds, kind of slipping and sliding slightly as he does so, as anyone is doing with this footing. Its eyes fix on the Theurg, and it seems to be rearing back as if to strike. Unfortunately, that means it's facing you directly on. You level and your bow in your hands, focus on the path your arrow will take, and let fly. The arrow pierces the Lindworm's eye. It rears back with one of those surprisingly human-like screams, and from its entire height, reared up 3 stories above the ground, topples over backwards, crashing through part of the palisade, leaving it wrecked and open next to the gateway. A lot of work is going to have to done to make this place secure again. At the sight of the Lindworm brought low, the clan warriors give out a wail of despair, and they all start turning and running away from the outpost, pouring through the gate and away into the forest. A few of them cut down from behind by the guards. The battle is over. Can I have initiative off, please? That was a big one, wasn't it?
Does the sparkly effect stop now that it's stopped moving?
Yeah.
Right.
Steel will round on the building, kind of addressing the group, kind of drawing a huge breath as if about to unleash a lecture, and then just kind of, well done. Kind of walk through the door as if that was not well done at all.
What happened?
That was... Oh, were you distracted, Aaron?
No, I was paying very close attention. I
Do you see the giant corpse over there?
Yes.
Ascarai and Steo and I made that. That's
Well
what
done.
happened. That is not how I expected today to go.
No.
So 2 people during that expressed sort of aggressive intentions on that witch. Both of them, Amtom and Ascarai. Can you give me a vigilant roll, please?
Okay.
Fail.
I also failed.
Oh, never mind then.
Asgray for now is going to turn. Asgray wants to go to the room of Brother Butler and check that he's okay. As a priority.
Sure, absolutely. Ascarai, and I think you were the closest to the door anyway at the time. So you can sort of go up the stairs and you walk along the corridor. You can see that the door to the cook's room is indeed closed, and you can't hear anything on the other side of it right now.
I will knock on the door and say, Brother Bartho, are you in there?
You hear a kind of slight whispered conversation, and then a voice says, "Oh, yes, you are one of the people who came to seek me, yes?"
Yes, that's me. Is everything okay? You're right. There's been, as I'm sure you saw, an attack.
There's a kind of thumping noise and a shuffling, and the door opens, and Brother Bartho stands there. Let's have his image up again. He is indeed unhurt, and just sort of stands there, rubbing the bald spot on top of his head, and says, "Yes, we're fine here." An attack by who? It wasn't Black Cloaks, was it?
That's great. Breathes a sigh of relief at seeing he's all right, and not Blackcloak's clansman. I don't know who exactly, and a lindworm as well.
A lindworm.
Yeah, but dead now, and the clansmen have retreated, at least for now. I think you should be safe, but is Revelia here?
Yes, Revelia was here and was protecting them. Yes.
Okay, I'll stay with Revelia for now, and you'll be safe. But I think you'll be okay. I think we should be able to get you back to Carvosti.
Well, good. That sounds good.
Ascry will give a nod to Revelia and go and head back to the party if they're still downstairs.
For sure they are. I mean, customarily at this point in time, I suppose Alindra would be receiving some attention.
Yep.
Okay.
Who
Anton.
hasn't failed a roll on her recently, actually?
Whose turn is it to fail the healing roll?
Well, I mean, these are new injuries, so feel free to... Anton, why don't you roll your cunning first?
Yeah, I don't make it. Sorry, Alindra.
Steo.
Thanks.
Once again, kind of, okay, let me take a look, for goodness sake. So what are we cunning? It's a coin flip, and it's a fail.
Elindra's going to thank both of them, walk over to the bar, pour herself a beer, and sit down for quite some time, during which time I'm going to roll Resolute.
Yeah.
And also fail. So, yeah, she's just going to sit in a sort of semi-state of shock.
Absolutely.
With a beer.
Is there a thing where do you gain 1 toughness back just at the end of combat, or is that?
No.
Am I thinking of another system there?
Stage rest, I think.
I get an extra roll once a day from kind of sort of.
Oh yeah,
meditation.
I know what your ability is. Yeah, I was just.
There's nothing else apart from that. No.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the system.
Yep.
Does Steo need some medical attention while we're doing this?
I have 1 point of damage, and Steo looks absolutely fine. Steo looks like he could go for the whole thing again, but for the look on his face, which is kind of just harrowed.
I think
slightly exploded.
Yeah, a bit mucky as well.
I think I took a little bit of damage in the last session, actually, in one of the fights.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, go ahead and use your Medicus on yourself if you want.
And yeah, of course, I make that one.
Of course. Good stuff. Healed up a bit.
Yeah, 2 points.
And as Scott gets back, he will tell everyone that Brother Bartho is and Revelia are okay.
So I suppose we'll kind of be basically the first group at a table when things start calming down and the tavern starts, I don't know, becoming a kind of triage center, I suppose. But I want to ask. So, we're going back to Carvosti, clearly, because no one's spending a night in Davakar without a palisade when one's available. Are you sure you want to let that? Are you sure you want to let the Black Cloak inside the gates? It's clear he has something to do with whatever this increasingly complex situation is. I think he is deliberately not telling us, and I have a suspicion he's going to try and hop on our coattails to get in.
If he has information he's not telling, getting him to Carvosti seems the only way to get it out of him.
I just think that by putting him inside those walls, we'll be doing ourselves a lot more trouble later. I think, honestly, I feel like we were fighting on the wrong side on this one.
Against a Lindworm? I don't think you can fight on the wrong side of a Lindworm. If you're fighting with a Lindworm, you've gone wrong.
Do you think this was a response to the attack at Carvosti, or was this a separate, unrelated attack?
I'm starting to think that this was the attempt on the Black Cloak's life, as inelegant and as brutal as it might be. I don't know. I'm just connecting things at the minute, but we were expecting an attack. One arrived.
So what are you suggesting we do, Steo? Because I can think of a few courses of action, but I don't know how many of these you want me to say out loud.
I don't know. Do you remember? Askrai Anton, this just Carvosti feels to me like Cylindra's hope. It feels like all of the Ambrians there are basically in some liminal state of not quite doing anything. And then on top of that, it just feels like everyone's on the make for something. No one's given us the whole story. And now we're being erstwhile dragged into this. I feel like care and caution. And I have a feeling that bringing that man inside the gates of Carvosti is going to cause more trouble. And I don't have an answer for what we do with him, but
we could take him from this place. It's a couple of hours to Carvosti.
Yeah.
He's been inside Carvosti. Isn't that what
he left Carvosti a couple of days ago to come here?
It's not like we're taking him somewhere he's, it's not like we're getting him in Carvosti. He can get into Carvosti. It's the only thing we're helping him with is that clearly people want him dead. I definitely agree that this attack seems likely to be directed towards him somehow or in some way related to Almendra. I think this outpost has been here for a while, from what I understand. It, the fact that it happens now is strange. Something was strange about that witch. She was not, I don't know if she was not from the same clan or the same place as the warriors, but there was something not right about how they reacted to her death. The fact they had a Lindworm with them is strange this far south.
The as you say this, people have, as you imagine, Steo, been coming in, and kind of the wounded sat around, being bandaged up and being given drinks. A man who you take a moment to recognize walks into the tavern, looking around. A young man with kind of quite tall and handsome, with long blonde hair. You recognize him as the one who crashed through the tavern door at the beginning of the conflict and yelled at Irella for her to get upstairs, referring to her as mother directly, I believe. He walks in and kind of looks around, sees the table where you're sitting, and kind of walks over. He has a sword at his belt, and he's wearing the livery of the outpost guards, and he just, without any real preamble, kind of stumbles over to where you are. He looks like he's got, several nicks and cuts, but nothing too serious, and sort of leans on your table and says, "I genuinely do thank you for your assistance, not to mention for ensuring the safety of my mother. But I would not be a very good son if I didn't ask why you are protecting my mother."
Her consort is the last living witness to an adventurer party. All of the other members are dying under suspicious or brutal circumstances.
Of course it would be that pudgy bastard. I shouldn't have brought him in. So you're here for him?
We're here. We're to take him back to the city, or to Carvosti. Did you say you brought him in? Did you find him in distress, or was he exiled from the Mesa?
He claimed he was being hunted by enemies from his past. If I have my judgment right of the man, no one from his past gives him a second thought. He's a paranoid. He's a harmless lunatic, or I thought harmless. I smuggled him inside the palisade because he didn't want anyone to know he was here. He's come and gone 1,000 times before. What my mother sees in him, I do not know.
I think he was right this time about being hunted.
You think they were here for him?
It's on the table.
Surely this is a reprisal.
Maybe. And on that note, if you'll excuse me for just a moment, I'm going to dash outside the door, because there's something I do want to check outside.
A reprisal for what happened on Carvosti?
These are Southern clan warriors, are they not? They're dressed as such.
What do you know of what happened on Carvosti?
Ambrians attacked the High Chieftain. That's what we heard.
One of the things that we've been trying to figure out is which Ambrians and why.
Well, I can't answer you that. All I know is that everyone says that trouble's brewing. There were a group of pilgrims through just this morning. Military activity in Narragor. They were traveling by boat from Karoon towards the Archbridge. As they were leaving port, they saw several barges that had arrived during the night from the south, carrying equipment and soldiers. Archers from Agrella, they thought. Something stirring.
I have heard stories about Ambrian troops moving.
Look, I don't think this is something masterminded. Tharaban can't stand against Corinthia. And what is there on Carvosti for Corinthia but an old temple? But clearly someone wants to cause trouble.
The attack was not from Corinthia. From Carvosti. It may spark a war, but it didn't come from Corinthia.
I don't want to get involved. I just I work for House VR and I protect the pilgrims, the travelers, and the merchants here.
Is it reasonable to assume that you want Bartho gone and that your mother is going to have to make a choice about what she does, but that either way, you don't want Bartho in this place anymore?
I do not. And I would.
We've been asked to take him.
I would like my mother to stay here, but I'm not her keeper. She may do as she wish, and at least on Karvosti, she's probably safer than she is here now with the wall down, at least for the moment.
Bartho wanted us to deliver him safely to Karvosti in exchange for the information that we came to find, came to ask him about in the first place, and I am seeing no reason not to do that. It solves several people's problems all at once.
Look, I need to send a couple of troops to Karvosti to ask for aid in rebuilding this palisade. I'll send them with you. More blades for the journey. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you again, but I hope you will not take it remiss if I say I won't be wounded if our paths don't cross again.
Understandable.
He walks off and kind of goes up the stairs, presumably to talk to Bartho and his mother. Steo dashed outside to try and find something or look at something. What does he do?
Yeah. I want to see if I can locate the witch's body.
You absolutely can locate the witch's body. It hasn't been picked up yet and is just kind of sprawled on its side on the other side of the outpost center.
I'm going to roll them over and I'm going to search. Specifically, I'm going to search for an iron pact ring.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, it doesn't have to be a ring, but like some kind of iron pact token. Yeah, sure. Give me a vigilant roll.
Oh, I should have brought the Ascarai. Oh my god, vigilant is 9. Okay. Oh god, that's not the right dice. Yeah, I got mates. Yay!
Okay. There is no iron pact token on this witch.
Okay, that's actually a relief.
While you're rummaging around this body, other individuals are kind of like looking at bodies and kind of moving some of them, but also kind of just looking at them or looting them. Ascarai, Anton, all the others. What are you doing while Steo has gone off here? Are you going out to join him? Are you staying where you are? What are you doing?
I think I'd also go out and I would like to try and identify what clan the normal warriors are from and what clan the witch is from.
Sure.
That's where it kind of has the impression it might be different, so would try and
sure.
figure it out.
I mean, witches can be quite hard to identify. They don't generally carry kind of quite the same signs or symbols as the clans they're from. Just from a glance at that witch, you can see she's wearing a kind of like odd, multicolored robe of like bits of cloth stitched together. And you don't immediately see any particular signs that you'd expect from one witch to another. Can you give me a vigilant test? A vigilant test from examining a fallen clan warrior.
Okay. I failed. I won.
Okay. So you don't find any information, but I will say that you're definitely aware that someone who is more knowledgeable or more kind of like sort of aware of kind of bodies and how they function and stuff like that might be able to tell more about. There's definitely like something odd in the fact that you can't find anything, but maybe it's needs not keener eyes than yours. There's no such thing, but more attuned and knowledgeable eyes than yours.
Okay, I guess I'd look around. If any, I guess there's people amongst the bodies. If anyone there looked to be of barbarian like origin.
Oh no, definitely not. VR Outpost doesn't.
Okay, in that case, I think I'd talk to Anton.
Sure, yeah. Well, what are Anton, Melindra, and Arendar doing?
Aaron, sorry,
go
go
on,
ahead.
John. Go on, John.
I was going to say Aaron feels a little bit guilty for maybe not entirely paying attention at the end there, even though he's not entirely sure why he would do that. So he's going to be wandering among the Viara guards, lending a hand where he can with whatever temporary building, any carrying people over to a triage center.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Most of it is carrying bodies. Whether those be the fallen clan warriors and the unfortunate guards who have also perished. You also see a few guards who attempt to be trying to just carve scales out of the lindworm's hide, presumably to either sell them on or you just use them as trophies. Anton, what were you going to say that you were doing?
I was just going to say I would look around for someone who sort of maybe was on the gate when we first came in, like a guards person or something like that, or someone who just looks like they know how to handle themselves, and just ask them if like this sort of attack is common. Is this happened ever before? If they do get attacked, who do they get attacked by?
You find basically a guardswoman who's maybe helping patch someone up within the tavern, and after turning around and sort of almost half dismissing you and then realizing you were a Theurg, she says, "Oh, no, Father, I've been guarding here for nearly 2 years. Occasionally there's jackals or beasts from the forest, but barbarians attacking? I thought that there was a peace."
Yeah, it is troubling for sure.
Men and women who dress as these do, they walk past this outpost every day, traveling to their plateau. Maybe it's time to return to Thistlehold.
Well, yeah. Well, there is a lot of rebuilding work to be done here, and I'm sure they could use every good pair of hands they can find.
Aye, maybe. Elindra.
I think Elindra is probably sort of low key in a state of shock, really.
Sure, yeah. Oh well, you said you were at the bar for a while anyway. So
yeah, I think she was been quite shaken with the Lindworm thing. So I think she's probably going to stay in the pub. Like, if enough time passes, I guess she will kind of get her wits together enough to walk upstairs, see how Brother Bartho is doing in terms of like whether he understands that the plan is to pack up the stuff and leave, and to find out whether Arella plans to come with him.
Sure. While you do that, Arindar, if you're carrying bodies around, do you think you'd have the wherewithal to take a slightly closer look at them?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, give me a vigilant roll, and then we'll hop back to Elindra. And
I mean, no. For target 5, I rolled 19.
There we go. That's not good. Elindra, as you go up to the cook's room, to Arella's room upstairs, you meet her son kind of coming back the other way. He's sort of shaking his head slightly and says, "You're welcome to him, friend," and just walks past you and down the stairs. As you reach the room, you enter it. Revelia looks sort of like she has like her hand on her sword, but is kind of like just kind of tapping it and looking a bit. Does she have a sword or an axe? I think maybe she has an axe. I can't remember. Either way, well, let's say a sword. And is looking like a little nervous. Arella, it looks very flustered and like maybe she's been crying. And Brother Bartho has kind of half a quite old, dried out potato that he's like holding up against one eye and kind of flexing his hand in frustration and saying, I just don't think I deserved it. I've done nothing. He pulls it off, and you see the definitely the start of a black eye developing.
What have I missed?
You missed. He glances over at Arella, who kind of just tries to shake her head at him and says, "It's nothing. It's nothing. It's fine. It's Inflamed passions. The boy's young. It's fine.
I
As
could
if this
defend
day
you
wasn't
against.
bad enough.
I could defend you against lindworms and barbarians. I'm not sure that I can defend you against him.
Well, that's as maybe. Are we going now?
If you're ready, I'll gather our people.
I'm ready, and my woman is ready as well. Irella kind of like looks a little bit torn, but kind of nods and puts her arm in his.
Okay. I will sort of try to silently make eye contact with Irella and kind of do the like, "Are you okay?" kind of look.
She kind of looks quite gratefully at you, but kind of nods and sort of holds him a little tighter. It definitely doesn't seem to have been, you get the sense she's more just upset because she watched her son punch her lover.
Sure, yeah.
Than any further impropriety happen.
But yeah, she's not. She doesn't appear to be under any kind of duress about.
No, she doesn't. It appears that this, from what you are sensing of it, certainly appears like this is her choice. It's just not a choice her son is happy with.
Sure, yeah, okay. Pack your things. I'll round up the others.
They nod and start kind of picking things up. Ascarai, did you? So you want to go get Antom? I think is that the idea?
Yeah, I want to get Antom and say to him, Antom, I don't know how much you know about this, but it seems strange to me that these clansmen don't have any obvious clan, especially marching to war, marching to fight. From what I've seen, it's more common to have something to identify where they're from, who they're with. I can't see anything.
The guardswoman said that these are the type of clanspeople who pass by this place all the time, but I can take a closer look if you want.
Steo, as these two are going out and looking at these fallen barbarian warriors, do you think you might join them, being as you were looking at a body? Is that the kind of thing you might do?
Yeah, I think I'll definitely do that. I will, however, abdicate from doing any roles in the matter because I think we're chewing through kind of multiple attempts at this. So,
I mean, I'm fine if you're both just looking at it. I'm fine with you doing that, but it's entirely up to you. Okay. Well, nearby to the front of the tavern, near the stables, is where they seem to be piling up all the guards who died are being kind of laid out one next to the other over on the other side of the outpost, but the barbarian bodies are literally just being piled up here, probably for a pyre when they're done. And it's quite easy, Anton, for you to take a look at a couple of them. Can you give me, please, 3 rolls? I would like a vigilant roll, and then a cunning roll, and then another cunning roll.
Okay. Vigilant roll first.
Mm-hmm.
I make it.
Okay.
Cunning roll number 1. I fail.
Okay.
Cunning roll number 2. I fail.
Okay. You definitely notice something that Ascarai has missed. Every single fallen barbarian warrior, and they're mostly wearing kind of like, gloves to protect themselves while fighting and kind of, kind of like wrist guards and stuff like that. And you have to peel those back to find these. Every single warrior has a symbol tattooed on the inside of both wrists, a crown entwined by thorns. You have never seen this symbol before.
Huh. Okay. I will sort of peel back one of their cuffs and point it out to Ascarai.
I'm guessing this rings absolutely no bells for Ascarai either.
Nope.
Northerners don't use symbols like that.
They certainly can do, and they can certainly tattoo them on themselves. But this is this certainly is not a clan symbol you recognize, Ascarai.
I couldn't tell you what clan this is from, but at least it's something to try and find out who sent this attack or who these people are.
If you did want, there's only one roll you can make, Chris, if you did want to make a roll.
Would this be a cunning roll?
It would be a cunning roll.
I will have a go. Given we're in CSI mode, I succeeded.
Okay. You see that, like, this is an odd place for a clan symbol, if it is a clan symbol, to be tattooed on a clan warrior. Normally they're on more obvious parts of their bodies, arms, necks, chest. And while you think that and your eyes wander over them, you see that all the warriors have red scar tissue on those parts of their bodies, on their arms, their neck, and their chest. It instantly occurs to you that they look like burnt off tattoos.
Look, look at that scar tissue on the necks as well. Do you think it could be they weren't under some kind of arcane control? No, that was a different.
No, it definitely would look different to this. This just looks like you've seen men remove their tattoos before, like, past lovers or, drunken mistakes. And it just looks like seared skin. And that's what this looks like. Some old tattoos have been removed and this new one has been placed on their wrists.
Matt, was one of my cunning rolls already a lore master sort of?
It was.
Check. Yeah. Okay.
These gentlemen have changed allegiance recently. Perhaps under duress.
Maybe they've renounced allegiance to their clan in favor of whoever it is we've been hearing about.
Yeah, well, they've been bought. Come on, let's round the others up.
Okay, it sounds to me like everyone is gathering back in the center of the VR outpost, ready to strike back north towards Karvosti. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay. As you do so, kind of stepping into that churned mud for the final time, the guards, as I say, are kind of hacking chunks off the lindworm to take the scales off it, although a couple of others of them have got out a large saw and are literally just starting to carve the creature into sort of smaller chunks, presumably so they can burn it as well, or at least dispose of it in some way. None of them look predisposed to eat the thing. The pyre is starting to smolder behind you as someone has lit it, and the horrible, but it has to be said, slightly familiar to you after the last few hours scent of cooking human flesh is sort of beginning to pervade the area. And Bartho kind of looks around, blinking with that one now damaged eye, and says, "Come on, let's go. It'll smell awful in here in a matter of minutes." There are two Viara guards, two guardswomen near the gate, and one of them kind of looks over at you as you approach and says, Are you the ones traveling up to the plateau?
Aye.
All right. Harold says we should go with you. Come on. There's hours yet, but let's not risk it getting dark.
Yep.
That's wisdom.
So you start to travel up to the north to Karvosti. The cold has persisted. I believe I said it started lightly snowing, and that is continuing. It's not really settling, but it's giving the air that kind of like cold, frosty edge as you walk back towards the northwest. As you start striding, maybe half an hour or so into your journey, he's been making grumbling noises most of the way so far. But after that, Bartho kind of turns and peers at the nearest one of you. Let's say it is Arindar, and says, "All right, so I trust that we will get to Karvosti relatively safely with these blades and in this closeness." He kind of pulls the big bulky old black cloak around him more firmly. "So you want to know about Elmendra then, don't you?"
Yes, please.
Right. Well, I suppose it'll do no harm. Gather your friends so that I don't have to repeat myself.
I'll wave everyone over.
You're still kind of striding forward, but the group of you are kind of bulked up together. Revelia is nearby as well. The cook is kind of a little further ahead with the guardswomen kind of talking to each other. I only ever accompanied her on one expedition. Ruins. The barbarians call them Fria Ligan. We went there to study a locking mechanism of an ancient gate, but we ran into a pack of rage trolls. I was injured, had to stay at the camp. Elmendra entered the ruin on her own, returned 2 days later. I thought she was already dead, breathless, white as a ghost. She found what we came for, but she said she had disturbed something that should have been left sleeping. What it was, she never said, probably because she eloped before the creature properly showed itself. And that's the expedition we went on. I can't tell you much more about it. There are some other things she told me along the way or in idle conversation on Karvosti. I'm assuming you want to know those as well.
Oh, yes.
Everything.
Everything. Well, as we travelled to and from Fria Ligan, she told me about another expedition she'd been on. She claimed to have visited a place called Yepheron Isle on Lake Volgoma. You know it, the inland sea to the west. It had been home to religious fanatics who were at war with the High Chieftain years ago, long before Tharaban's time. She described it as the bloodiest, most gruesome journey she'd ever experienced, but also claimed to have met someone who showed her a hidden passage into the cliff. She was convinced that the cliff held clues about where to find Symbar. For the past 3 years, she's been obsessed with finding a way into the caverns under the plateau, preferably by some kind of back door so she hasn't to deal with the Wrathguard, with the witches. I think the expedition I went on and this one to Yepheron had something to do with it. And she wanted to speak with a girl called Alida. She lived on Karvosti for a year with the witches. Ambrian, I don't know why they let her in. She's left now, though. She wanted to go home and seek forgiveness for something. She hails from New Earthmore. It's a free settlement to the east, in Davakar. Heretics, I heard. Ambrian heretics. Under the trees. How they're still there, I don't know. That's what I have.
What kind of heretics?
I haven't heard. Not exactly. But they're far enough out that the Templars and the Black Cloaks haven't reached them yet. Back when I was working for the Order, it was a goal to head out there and see what they were up to. We never made it that far. Word has they're fanatics, though.
What about the hammer? We heard that Elmendra came back to Karvosti with a hammer. Where did this come from? Which expedition?
I don't know. I heard tell of it. It's possible she brought it back from where we went. That was the most recent expedition of hers I know of, but if she did, she hid it well. Maybe she got it somewhere else. I don't know.
These ruins, where are they? Far from Karvosti?
Well, I suppose that's the key, isn't it? Look, I've told you all I know of Almendra. How about we make another deal for some more information?
What's the deal?
Whatever you find at these places, because I see that look in your eyes. You're going after her, you're going after Symbar. And that means you have to go there. You need to follow her tracks. Anything you find there, show me it first. Before you take it to anywhere else, before you use it for your own purposes. And anything you find relating to her disappearance, well, if it's information, you tell it me. And if it's something of hers you find, after you look at it, I get to keep that. I'm her friend, not you. How about that? And everything else you get there, everything that leads you on, well, that's yours, isn't it? Unless it's something to do with the Almendra. And you're the ones who get to walk the deep forests to make your way to the fabled lost city. But I get the information, and I get whatever she left behind.
How did she go from being somebody that you went on one expedition with to being your friend?
You don't go through something like that and not become friends. We knew each other as well as anyone on Karvosti does. Look, that's my deal. If you want more information on these places, where to find them, little tidbits I might know about history, then we make this deal. If not, I suppose you take me and Arella to Karvosti, and then we go our separate ways. But you should know that others have been asking about Almendra, but they didn't get to talk to me, did they? But others, rangers, mercenaries, they've already come crawling. I could give you a bit of a leg up. Information they don't have, eh?
Information that you, if we agree to this deal, will refuse to give them?
Of course. It doesn't do me well to invest in multiple parties, does it?
Give us a moment to consult.
Of course, you make your minds up. I shall join my lady. He kind of hunched over, kind of walks a little bit faster until he joins the group at the front.
Once he's out of earshot, I'll turn to the others and just say, the only thing he's asked for in this deal is our word. I am of the opinion that I will decide when the time comes how much that's worth.
Would someone kindly please reassure me we're not going to try and go to Symbar, are we?
Right now, I'm just looking for Almendra. That's what we said that we would do to Crueljaw. Anything else that comes up, comes up. But I don't want him talking to anybody else. And I'm happy to promise him his cut of whatever we find. I'm on the fence about whether or not I intend to come good on that promise. But we can make it.
I cannot give my word if I don't think it's worth anything.
Oh, Arendar, you paragon.
It's been all I've had for most of my life. Just my word and my honesty. I can't betray that now.
Then what do you suggest? Turning over anything we find that relates to Almendra to him seems like a high price indeed.
It does.
And I don't believe that he wants these things as keepsakes.
I agree.
As mementos. Like, he's looking to turn a profit as well. probably more so than we are.
Which does seem to think that he's awfully confident that whoever is after him isn't going to find him from this point forward.
It does seem strange he's so confident he'll be safe on Carvosti, given that we've found 2 people who died on Carvosti.
We can't be sure he wasn't the one who ordered the hits.
I think
Trying to round the information up, isn't he?
his
He had the
safety
goblet.
once he arrives on Carvosti is his problem.
He had the goblet, didn't he?
He did.
Then how can we be sure he didn't do it?
You can't.
Quite right.
My feeling is that he's told us the names of these places. Why don't we ask around on Carvosti? Maybe someone else just knows where they are without us having to promise anything. The only thing if we can find out where they are without making this deal, the only thing we'd really gain is him not talking to other people. But even if he does talk to other people, it'll be after we've left and we should still be ahead of them.
Again, with this inevitable drawing us into the darkness, the deeper dark, the beyond where we've been before in this cursed forest.
The alternative is that we take him back to Carvosti and we go to Cruel Draw and we say the story stops at Bartho and we can't get any further. Sorry about your friend. Which is an option.
Let's defer the choice until we've gone back to Carvosti and made some inquiries, I think.
You want to try to find this information out yourself and go back to him with promises if we can't find it independently.
I am desperate for a handle on any kind of strategy or current in this chaos, this maelstrom of different people killing other different people. And as soon as I can figure that out, I'll be a lot happier. But I don't want to agree to giving information. I don't care what artifacts come out of Symbar. I don't want to go within 100 miles of the place. I'd be happy to solve a murder. I want to make sure you are safe. I want to make sure Thistlehold is safe.
I'm reaching a point where I really, really need Cruel Jaw to make a compelling argument for why we should continue to help him, given the danger that we just found ourselves in.
I do understand that this is dangerous. At the same time, I know Symbar, if we go there or anywhere near there, anywhere that leads to there, there'll be a huge amount of danger. But at the same time, we're all here in Davakar. It's how we all live. It's how we all make our living. Yes, we could spend the next 20 years doing whatever this is and taking smaller risks along the way, but following this could lead to something that could immediately free us from needing to come back to Davakar ever again.
2 things come out of the forest: money and problems. And we've earned a fair bit of money so far. We're due some problems.
Speak for yourself.
On that note, I think, so I think the consensus that the group has reached, right, is that we're probably not taking Brother Bartho up on his, it sounds like, up on his offer, and instead we're going to try to find what information we can on the plateau before striking out to any of those 3 locations you mentioned. I mean, I hope we do strike out to them, otherwise Throne of Thorns is over. But beyond that point, Yeah, and as you are making your way towards Kavasti, it's not dark yet, but it is kind of still in winter, and definitely the sky is growing more grey and more dark as you round past a bend in the path, and you see Karvosti kind of arched out ahead of you across the horizon. And as you start walking towards it, glad to be kind of reaching the longhouse and your tents and the relative safety of the plateau. Askarai, could you just remind me what clan you're from?
Gadinja.
Gadinja, okay. As you do so, you hear like one of the guards who are still kind of walking ahead of you lets out kind of a cry, not of alarm or pain, or like just like a of surprise, and points, and you see across at the edge of the plateau where you can see it, a huge figure clambering up the side of the plateau, gripping into the rock and moving with odd sort of jerky movements as its huge limbs slam and find purchase on the rock again and again and again. At the top of the cliff, you can see arrayed a number of individuals standing not as if on guard, but as a kind of welcoming group above. You're not at a distance to tell who they are, but I mean, you suspect they're perhaps the Wrath Guard. It takes a moment for all of you, maybe not for Askarai, maybe you're more familiar with this site, to realize that it is a colossus, one of the huge riding and protective beasts of senior witches within Davakar that you saw, kind of the witches who aid you during Wrath of the Warden riding when they first arrived. It is clambering up the side of the plateau, presumably going to visit with the Huldra and the witches up there. As you reach the others who've kind of like come to a stop, Bartho turns around and says, you know what that is?
That's trouble, is what that is. An important guest.
Aye, that's a keeper. One of the head witches of the clans. They're gathering. Trouble indeed. He starts striding forward for Karvosti again, as do you all. And I think we will end the session there, folks. Thank you very much for joining us as both viewers and players. We'll pop some comments up on screen to talk about in a second, so please sling them in chat if you want us to answer you. And yeah, before we do that, a little bit of promo. Links down below, YouTube, Twitch. You're watching on one, please check out the other links to our Discord, to our Patreon, to our social media. We run 2 weekly games at the moment. Symbaroum is on Wednesdays, Vaesen is on Mondays. We also do one-shots once a month. The next one is on Saturday, December 17th, where we'll be playing Alien for the 3rd time as part of a trilogy we've been running of one-shots. You can easily find the others on our YouTube. A Place of Burning and a Congress of Sorrows. If you want to get the most out of this upcoming one-shot, I would advise you to do so. So, comments, things. Naga, what if there is lore about the Dead King's Spear? I can guarantee there never will be.
It's
maybe in the
literally
last
name.
session. Maybe in the last session we ever
It's
do.
becoming a postmodernist meme.
Maybe the real lore was the friends we made along the way.
I have no friends.
The lore of the spear is that it's the spear of the great warrior Stio, who's slain thousands of evil creatures.
Make your own
Davakar.
lore. Yeah.
It's like be
the
thing, law.
Right? Just for clarity, yeah, be the law you want to see in the world. But like, just for clarity, like, in case anyone is confused that people get, there is law. They already know the law. It's just that Chris is greedy for law. And what he wants is me to provide him with the source book on the spear, which doesn't exist.
He wants the Mass Effect, the what's it called? Like the encyclopedia entry.
Lore entry.
Where he looks at the spear and then there's a pop-up. and then like 3 pages written by someone severely underpaid.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it might well be the case that the promise of lore about the spear is the only thing that will motivate Steer to go forward when all of his instincts are to abandon this entire campaign.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I've heard they've got loads of lore about your spear in Symbaroum.
I think that is exactly the argument that Naga's making.
If any place if any place does, it would be the resting place of the king who wielded the spear, which is funny because that is where it was and where you found it. But if anywhere else has lore about the spear, it would be Symbar. Yeah. Could do a Kickstarter and have spear lore as a stretch goal from Steve. That's a good one.
Spin-off series.
Yeah. Next, please, John. One from Mike. A subtle but quiet noise emerges from the... Why are you making me read this? Emerges from the rooms of Telling Tales viewers. At first, it's a murmur, but soon distinct words can be heard as the volume increases. The viewers chant a singular name demanding his return. Beremo. Beremo. Fists pound on desks and the shouting reaches a cacophony. Beremo. Beremo. They demand of Matt, who holds his head in his hands and sobs quietly to himself. I also saw Don't Kick Food do hashtag Beremore with an E on the end for more Beremore.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. All I'm saying is if you all keep this up, I'm killing him. Can we possibly party kill Anton and get Beremo as the healer?
I'm all for
You're
it.
all so weird. You're all so weird.
And who has made the choice to spend time with us every single Wednesday, Matt?
I'm desperate.
Matt's here for the money and fame.
Yeah. The money and fame that comes from being a actual player who isn't also a jobbing voice actor. Ooh, that was vicious.
Spicy.
Would a Symbaroum computer game be a simulation? I actually do know the answer to this one. No.
Harsh.
Just continuing the absolute no puns policy.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's not a pun. It's a genuine question, and the answer is no.
Next. Oh, wait. Serious question this time.
Serious question. Yeah, we actually had this ourselves off camera last week, I think. Does anyone know if you can raise your ability above the max of 15 with the exceptional attribute? Yes, you absolutely can. There are NPCs who have it. Every NPC, human NPC who has a stat above 15, the writer has given them in their stat block exceptional attribute. Yeah, you absolutely can raise it above 15.
So I guess the actual limit is 18.
18, yeah.
Systemically, it doesn't matter too much because it's just where your success criteria fall on your 1 to 20.
Yeah. So yes, is the answer to that. We should do a Kickstarter and have Spear Lore as a stretch goal. Yep. Spear Lore, Beremo, yeah, all that stuff. And look, at least we're not talking about buffets anymore. That's I should look on the bright side there.
You mentioned
Beremo's spear historian.
Absolutely.
I think we have nothing that isn't either Beremo or spear related. So
ergo, we have nothing. So thanks everyone again for playing and watching. We'll be back next week with more Symbaroum. I think I mentioned before, we're running up more or less straight up to Christmas. So we will be here during the festive season or non-festive season, delete as applicable for yourself personally. Yeah, take care and stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.